I've known Paul Reed Smith for a long time. He goes after great guitar artists and collaborates with them like nobody else in the world. This is another example of that. This is his newest collaboration. He loaned me this guitar for this video. Now, Paul did not go after John Mayer. It was actually the opposite. John cold called PRS, and it's an amazing story. I'll tell you in a second. This is not a sponsored video. Like I said, this guitar is on loan. I just want to reveal some stuff about Paul that might surprise you. Before I tell some of these stories, let's take a few seconds and listen to this guitar, his latest obsession. In a couple of minutes, we'll do extreme close-ups and a deep dive into this guitar. First, I want to tell you a story. So at this point, we all know about John Mayer and the Silver Sky. Well, the way that started, John Mayer cold called the general PRS number asking for Paul. The person at the end of the line did not believe him. So John had to send a text with a photo of a piece of paper where he scribbled, "Yes, this is me." He wanted a guitar built for his Grateful Dead tour, and he was able to get through. That eventually led to them talking more and building the Silver Sky. When they released the guitar in February 2018, they took a big risk, combining a PRS headstock with a Strat-style body. It could have been a huge flop. We all know now that it wasn't. About a month later, I borrowed a Silver Sky from PRS, and I also borrowed a 65 vintage Strat from Norm's Rare Guitars. I did a video, once again not sponsored, comparing the two instruments. So here we are 5 years later, and the PRS Silver Sky SE is the best-selling guitar on Reverb.com for 2023. As you can see, other PRSs place very high on the list also. Now think about this. Paul created the student edition line, the SE line, because Santana asked him to make a guitar that the kids who were his fans could afford. Now the reason all this happened is because Paul was so tenacious. He would spend 6 and 7 hours in the parking lots of arenas and stadiums with his guitar, trying to show it to guitar artists, big artists. 9 times out of 10, he got rejected. Santana gave him a shot. Now, Paul and David Grissom spent over 2 decades working on both the McCarty and the Grissom model. And then, of course, there's the Grissom SE, which redefines quality at a low price point. I bought this at the Village Guitarist in New Mexico. I bought this from a gentleman in the Midwest. It was not a bargain. I bought this from Wildcat Guitars in Escondido, California, and I bought this from Sounds for Less in Orlando, Florida. So let's take another quick listen to Paul's newest invention. The pickups have these mini toggle EQ switches. They are high-pass filters that create more crystal top end and clearer bottom end. To put it another way, on the neck pickup, sounds to me like Wind Cries Mary. So the color is called Charcoal Phoenix on this highly figured maple top, finished in high gloss nitro. This is a Generation 3 tremolo bridge. I like the fact that it floats both up and down, set up that way from the factory. It also stays perfectly in tune. These are the high pass filter toggle switches for each pickup. To me, they sound much better than the traditional coil split. This is a great invention. The TCI soap bar pickups are totally silent. They are meant to snarl at full volume and then clean up well as you turn them down. The fretboard is African Blackwood, and these are the remarkable Celtic knots with crushed opal that gives them a 3-dimensional quality, always moving. The neckwood is called Hormigo. It's finished, but you would never know it. The finish is inside the wood, giving it a very smooth satin feel. These are the latest iteration of Paul's endless quest to make tuning keys that add sustain and tone to the guitar. This guitar is signed by Paul Miles and Paul Reed Smith, and personally signed by John McLaughlin. real quick, we are giving away a brand new collection of 30 free guitar lessons. So if you want to transform your guitar playing, click the link below and you'll have instant free access. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, which is the price of this guitar. Is it worth it? Yeah, I think it is. Playability-wise and sound-wise, it might be the best PRS I've ever had in my hands. So there's that. But private stock guitars are probably meant for collectors and rock stars. Now check this out. I looked on Reverb a few weeks ago and the inventory of these was in the mid-40s. Now it's at 36. These guitars are selling through and will sell out. Now, if you're not a collector or a rock star, I feel like Paul has the rest of us covered with guitars like the Grissom SE. I've had the privilege of being able to teach at a few of Paul's music schools. Last time we did it, I was in Annapolis. The morning of the first day, he said, "Hey, I'll come pick you up." And he picked up the coffee and the bagels for the crew. And when he picked me up, he did so in his Toyota Highlander. And I thought, I expected a Ferrari maybe? Anyway, I asked him recently, "Do you still have the Toyota Highlander?" He said, "No, I traded it for a used Toyota Sequoia." And I said, "Why do you like Toyota so much?" He says, "They're devices that work properly." And my friend here is waiting in line to get his badge. At the NAMM show recently, I had already gotten my badge. Paul and I had breakfast together, and I accompanied him to get his badge. As we stood in line, I realized all at once that this person who had spent millions and millions of dollars buying square footage at NAMM over the last few decades had no sense of entitlement, no sense of specialness or privilege as he stood in line as a civilian to get his NAMM badge. Paul is truly a humble human being. Hey guys, a lot of the time YouTube will bring you my videos even though you're not subscribed. If you get the chance, click this subscribe button and ring the bell.